localities. Because I can assure you that a county such as Caroline County depends on the B-poll tax as a revenue source. That really means a lot to them. And unless you're willing to come up with additional revenue, some other source of revenue that the county can tap into, then the county goes hurting. And so I would ask you to, if you're going to seriously look at eliminating the B-poll tax, and I understand nobody likes the B-poll tax. We don't like the B-poll tax. When I first was elected, we had the merchant's capital tax, and that was an unfair tax as well, because it only hit the people that had inventories in their facilities at the beginning of the year. So that was an unfair tax. So it's all unfair. But again, I would ask that you continue to keep local governments in mind as you are debating in the B-poll tax issue. The other issue is, and I realize that probably last year there were some improvements to the transportation funding for local governments. Caroline County is certainly beginning to grow, and it's beginning to grow in a positive way. Retail, commercial development, those type of things, and that's what's going to help county such as Caroline County to move ahead and to continue to be a very viable county. I am concerned, because as we heard at the last meeting, I believe Mr. Thomas was telling us that there was something like $300 million, Mr. Thomas, that had been asked for, when the pot is $10 million, or what's the pot of the SB2? HB2. What is the pot for that to be drawn?
It's less than 300 million.
Yeah, and much less than 300 million. So Caroline County is certainly needing to tap into that source in order to make some road improvements to Ladysmith Road, which commercial development is starting to take place on. And I would ask that whatever it is that you can do, that you certainly reach out and try to have influence to make sure that Caroline County gets its share of that pie. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, excuse me, Mr. Seeley.
I'd just like to thank the senator and delegates for coming this evening. I talk to them frequently, and I'll pass on questions tonight in the interest of time.
And thank you very much also from the board for being here. VACO is concerned about K-12 funding, which certainly takes on a lot of what has been said, but certainly that's an issue, and certainly we would hope that you would certainly keep that at the forefront of your discussions. And I guess one other thing, there was talk about the resource officers in each school, and I don't know exactly how that's going to be funded. Certainly I will go on record as saying I would certainly support resource officers in each school, but depending upon the localities, many of the larger localities with many schools had concerns as to how it would be funded, and to not take funding from other sources in order to do that. One of the suggestions was that there may be some point where there could be some type of initiative for those localities that met that quota, and then they would perhaps be able to get some of the help that they need, and maybe some of the smaller localities would not be taxed as much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things. Just as listening to the list, there are definitely some common themes in each of your requests, and one of those is funding, and that is the big challenge. As we look through the HB2 process and the transportation process, one of the reasons I voted against the overarching transportation revenue increase a couple years ago was my fear, and I think it's been partially played out, is that local rural areas were not going to have as great access to some of those revenues as some other areas. And I think, unfortunately, that is playing out, and we're going to have to continue to fight as we go through that process. But as we are looking at some things, I do think overall there will be some discussion points about things that we can do to make your jobs easier. I think we're going to be looking at the cost to compete dollars that maybe have gone to some non-teacher positions in jurisdictions just north of y'all, and seeing if we can maybe repurpose those a little bit better, which might make it easier as you're going to hire different personnel because you're not having to pay those increased salaries. I do think that the SOLs as a concept is very good and does have some benefit and purpose in making sure our students have access to the same level of education uniformly across the state, but it is equally as important that our students be able to have those critical analytical thought processes as they go through school, and that when they graduate from our public school systems, they're able to take those skills and move them into the workforce, because that's really where we're training our students for knowledge and to be productive members of the workforce. And K-12 funding is, I would expect, it is still our largest decision point. It's our largest budget item. I would expect that you would see us put some additional funding into K-12. Certainly the discussions that we have had internally has been in that direction, and I think that you will see that going forward. But one of the final things that I'd like to leave you with, because we do look at so much legislation, we don't always get a great agenda that we've had the opportunity to review in advance as y'all do. It moves rapidly. Please do not assume that we've seen every bill and we know the impact, positive or negative, that it will have on the county, and call us. Just call us or shoot us an email saying, hey, this bill is really great for Caroline. This bill we have some concerns about, but don't assume that we've seen it, because as they move through, it gets changed very rapidly as well, and we might not have seen it. But we thank you for what y'all do, because I think I've expressed to Delegate Fowler on more than one occasion, I think being on the Board of Supervisors is the most difficult elected job in the entire Commonwealth. And y'all have some really important decisions, but tough decisions. And as Mr. Akers said, I think with our decisions, we end up making more than 50% of the people unhappy. At least it always seems the math works out that way. So I am very appreciative of your efforts and the time you spend doing this. And Mr. Akers and Mr. Taylor, thank you for your service. It takes a lot, and I know that y'all will continue to serve diligently as you move forward. And also for our Commissioner and Commonwealth Attorney, thank them for their service. But y'all really do yeoman's work in this role, and we thank you for it.
Thank you, sir. We thank you both for being here, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, I just want to echo some of the things that Senator McDougall said, Chairman Taylor, with respect to Wayne's comments on the B-poll tax. I mean, obviously, I think the time has come, I think, in probably not this year, but in future years, where we're going to probably look at some tax reform issues. But obviously, we do not want to take away the little bit of a taxing authority that the counties have. So I don't see anything like that happening. With respect to Mr. Underwood's comments about K-12, again, it is the biggest part of the state budget, and we're going to obviously put some more resources there. You know, one of the things that the House and Senate has been trying to do, over and above just putting money at that, we are looking at the SOLs, we are making reforms, we're trying to add, flexibility, for your school board in addressing the standards of accreditation and as well as the SOLs in order to, just to make it, make the program better. Allow to provide for an education where our kids are doing actual learning as opposed to just rote memorization. So that is some of the things we're trying to do. Again, I just appreciate the opportunity to come here. Please don't hesitate to pick up the phone to call us, because just like Senator McDougall said, the legislation comes at us in a absolutely a furious pace, and so please give us a call. I want to thank Mr. Akers and Mr. Taylor for their long service to Caroline County. I'm not sure if I will ever be in the legislature long enough to equal any one of you guys, but my hat is off to you. I know it's an extremely tough job, because like Mr. Akers says, 50% of the people are mad at you. And I know Ryan will appreciate this. I was commenting to my mentor, I know Mr. Akers knows, Frank Hargrove one time, and who represented the district I have for 28 years, but I told Frank that, if you're not making somebody mad, you're not doing your job. So anyway, I know you guys have given your all to Caroline County. It's been a privilege for me to work with you guys, and just look forward to working with you others. And also, I need to get with, I guess, Charles, maybe about some language for a possible bill on the Board of Equalization. So again, thank you for this opportunity, and look forward to working with you.
And again, thank you both for being here. We appreciate your time, and we certainly appreciate what you do. Thank you. Okay, that takes us back to the introduction of the new library director, Ms. Ackerman. We thank you for indulging us and switching around the agenda a little bit. Hope we didn't inconvenience you too much.
Unless you want to pay for our dinner tonight, since we've been waiting, haven't had a chance to have dinner yet.
We'll get you some. We got some in the bag.
Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors, I am president of the Caroline Library Board, and I wanted to come this evening to introduce you to our new library director that started the middle of November. Her name is Amy Lilly. Amy?
Good evening. I'm very excited to have taken over the library. I'm from the Virginia area, and I've just returned to the state, and it has been exciting to me that every day a patron comes in and says, I'm new to Caroline County, I want to get my library card. So I'm seeing that influx of visitors, those people moving here that want to make Caroline County their home, and they're coming to the library. We're going to make sure that we keep the library as the cornerstone of the community. That's the place where families can go. It's a place where children can learn to read, where teenagers have a safe environment to do their homework, where a young man who's looking for his first job can get on the computer because he doesn't have it at home, but he can apply for that job, where the gentleman or lady that just got laid off from her job, doesn't have internet, doesn't have a computer, can come and file for unemployment, can apply for that job. They can do it at the library. So I look forward to your continuing support, and also look forward to leading the library into the 21st century and keeping us there. So have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lilly, is it?
Yes, sir.
I would certainly like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Board of Supervisors to welcome you to Caroline County, and certainly we assure that you will have much success here, and hopefully you will find it a pleasant atmosphere. And I think the board is always willing to do what it can to enhance the program. So again, thank you for being here, and we appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to the VDOT report. Mr. Nelson. And while you're coming, Mr. Nelson, I would like to personally thank you for the support that you've given me personally as well as this board. We've called on you a number of times, and you've always done a good job for us, so at least we knew you did what you could. So we appreciate that.
Just trying to do my job. Good evening, everyone. I want to give you your December update. First, I'll go over some of the preliminary engineering projects. The Route 721 bridge replacement over Beverly Creek, that project is scheduled to be advertised in 2016. The Route 72 bridge replacement over the Mattaponi River, that project was actually advertised today, so it's gone out for advertisement. So we'll get bids back hopefully within the next 60 days. As far as some of the construction projects, you may know already the Route 606 bridge, we've opened it up ahead of schedule, so that's something to be proud about. The contractor is actually going to come back and finish some outstanding work in the spring. He's going to pave a little bit more on either side of the approaches to make sure it's a smooth transition, but the road is open right now. The Route 648 Sunshine Road Bridge replacement, we actually started on that in October. We were supposed to start in mid-September. So we're a little behind schedule, but the road was closed in October. They're hoping to have that reopened by the new year. You all may have noticed some of the resurfacing work that's going on Route 301 and Route 30. We're hoping that contractor gets that wrapped up before too long here, as temperatures are starting to decrease. Now I'll go over some of the updates from the last board meeting that I had, and since then from some of you board members directly. Mr. Black, you requested us review Ladysmith Road / Partlow Road near Charlesburg. We made some safety improvements at that area to bring some awareness in the curve at Anderson Mill Road. That work should have been completed on last Friday. Mr. Underwood, you had requested us to look at the speed limit on Route 30 between 301 and King William County. We conducted a study, and it's not recommended to reduce the speed limit at that location. You also requested us to look at the speed limit on Jericho Road, and based on the information that we looked at, we feel that the speed limit is appropriate on that roadway. Mr. Taylor, we had a request to provide an estimate for Stonewall Lane to try to bring that in under the rural addition process. We provided an estimate of $30,000 to construct that roadway to meet the standards to bring it into the system. The county would be responsible for funding those improvements through either the 6-year improvement, the secondary 6-year plan, revenue sharing, or either through local funds. The street must have an available width of right-of-way of 40 feet, a minimum. It must have been available for public use for at least 20 years, and the right-of-way has to be clear of utilities. So that's an update on that. Those are my updates. Do any of you all have any questions or concerns for me?
Okay, maybe I'll start on this end this time. Mr. Seeley, do you have?
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I've been working with Mr. Nelson at Edgar Road. It has been underwater many, many times over the last 10 years, and I will say they've done a fabulous job of fixing it. I went and looked at it. The residents, the neighbors there are thrilled. I just want to say what a great job that was, and I'm hoping it fixes their problem completely. So I want to say thanks again.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Akers?
I have no issues with Mr. Nelson, but I would like to say that it has been a pleasure working with you, and I do truly appreciate meeting me at various locations and looking at issues that we had, and trying to correct them if you could. And if you couldn't, you said up front you could not do anything about it, and I appreciate that tremendously. It's been great, and I want to thank you for that.
Pleasure working with you too. Thank you.
Mr. Underwood?
Mr. Nelson, I'm quite disappointed in both studies. As I said in my opening comment, we have citizens who are losing their lives on Jericho Road. Mm-hmm. Speed limit is definitely that road is not a 55-mile-an-hour road. I would dare say it even meets state regulation probably in terms of width, if I believe it, if I'm correct. We have an issue there, and the citizens in the Reedy Church District, particularly Jericho Road, deserve some resolution. I remember when Ms. Kinder Rock got killed there years ago, and it's still continuing. The study means nothing to me when I know it's a public safety issue. I don't think it can tell the story. I can't go to a family and say, the study says we can't do anything about this, so you have to continue to suffer. I don't think that's the right answer. I can appreciate what VDOT is doing. Same goes for Route 30. It's too quick, too fast for a residential area, for those trucks going through there 55 miles an hour. Further down the road past the church there, Mount Calvary, that may be a little where you can ease up, but we have an issue. And as I told the citizens that called me, if we have to go and resort to civil disobedience, we're going to get something done, because we can't afford to continue to have people lose their life on Jericho Road. It's unacceptable.
Well, let me apologize, because quite frankly, you asked for a speed study.
Yes.
I don't think speed is the issue. There's other things we can look at, but I was kind of short-sighted on your request because you specifically asked me to look at the speed.
Okay.
If you want me to look at other safety things that can be done, because you kind of caught me off guard about the different fatalities, I'm thinking, did I miss a fatality that happened? But in looking, I don't think that speed was an issue in either of the recent fatalities. So maybe there's things that we can look at. I can do a safety study on the roadway, and I've done this with Spotsylvania County and Stafford County. We go out, we look at the roadway as a whole. We identify trees that are in the clear zone. We identify signs that can be upgraded and things of that nature. Now, the issue primarily with Jericho Road is you've got 30-foot of right-of-way. A whole lot of the trees that are out there are on private property. So we've worked with the counties that I work with, and the county will fund and go out and ask the citizens if we'll identify trees. If the citizens agree, the county will pay to have the trees removed so that if somebody runs off the road, they're not hitting a tree in the clear zone. So, I mean, I can do those things and look at those studies, but I'm just letting you know that there may be, we have to have a conversation on how we're going to move forward to fund these things.
Mr. Nelson, I appreciate that, and I'm willing to have that conversation. Certainly, I can call you, but if that is the issue, then a safety study needs to be done, and I appreciate you adding that. I thought that was part of the speed study, but you've corrected me, so I appreciate that. So I'm looking to working with you to get this resolved. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Black?
Yes, I wanted to thank you for the improvements on the Charlesburg Road. I mean, it's a whole lot better. My only concern is on the arrow, where the curve is coming. I'm already kind of in the curve when I see the arrow. Okay. I mean, and the rumble strips. When I see the rumble strips, I'm like, what am I? What's going on with the rumble strips? My only concern is if we can figure out a way to get those arrows so that people can see that the arrows are there. I see that you have the one arrow in the middle of the curve. But if we can get it on the warning a little bit further out, it would be nice.
Okay, I will look into that.
Okay, but thank you very much. That's a whole lot better. I've had people contacting me saying that thank you, so I do appreciate it.
No problem.
Mr. Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Nelson, it's always good to see you. And thank you, first of all. I think we've resolved the issues in Belmont. We're going to take care of that. But I've got a couple of other issues.
Okay.
It appears that Doggett Fork Road is I guess in line with what Mr. Underwood is saying, has become a safety hazard in more ways than one. The intersection at Sunshine Road, there are sightline issues. You can't necessarily see before you're out. And also the intersection of Doggett's Fork and Reedy Mill.
Okay.
So it's basically that same area. Both of those intersections have sightline problems. And I don't think there is a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit like it's supposed to be on that road. That was one of the things the residents asked me to make sure the speed limit sign was posted, and I'm sure it's 45 miles an hour.
Okay.
And the other one is Coolwater Drive and the pond that's overflowing on a regular basis.
I'm aware of a pond out there that I think we had some issues with beavers at that location potentially.
Okay. I really don't care what the problem is, but the water is in the road.
Okay.
And when the water gets in the road, I guess it becomes VDOT's problem?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so there's water in the road.
Okay, I will look into that.
And it's on a good, nice day, there's water in the road. So when it's raining hard,
There's more water in the road.
it's probably a little dangerous.
Okay.
So I don't know how you fix it, but the right-of-way should be yours on the other side of the road where the pond is, right?
I'd have to look.
Okay, but you normally have a 20, 30-foot right-of-way.
30-foot right-of-way is the minimum that we have prescriptive right-of-way.
Okay, so if the water's starting to leak on your right-of-way, it's the state's problem.
Well, we have to figure out what the issue is and contact the property owner if it's a private pond. There's some of the things that I have to do on my end.
Okay, I don't know, but I know just by telling you, you're going to take care of it. So
I will look into it.
I appreciate it. No, I know you're going to take care of it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just before you go, Mr. Nelson, thank you again for, as I said, all that you do. And this is a request I guess I would make to the board. I've been working with Mr. Nelson with Stonewall Lane. Stonewall Lane is a road that's badly in need of, well, not asphalt, but I think we were talking about a chip and tar type of surface for that road. The school bus has an issue going down there. I don't even think the school bus goes down there, as far as I know, and I'm hearing this from residents. We've gotten it down to $30,000. If we don't do something now, I'm afraid that it will be years before we'll get an opportunity to address that. And if the board would indulge me, if we could get the funds, for that road, for the chip and tar to get it into the system, and then as improvements need to be made, we can have the benefit of state funds and so forth. But if we don't do anything now, it's just going to get worse and worse. And I certainly would like to see us address that. I will listen to comments.
I was just asking, is that the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman?
I would do that. I would move that. Is it okay for me to make a motion?
Well, I think there needs to be a little discussion. We're getting ready to go into a budget process.
We can discuss.
Okay.
Okay.
You can make a motion.
Okay. I will move that we use funds from the unencumbered balance to bring Stonewall Lane up to state specifications, which includes a chip and tar surface. If I can get a second.
I'll second it.
All right. Questions or discussion?
Well, I think that is a budgetary issue that needs to be looked at in the whole process. Mr. Underwood is going to be looking at the same thing, and I think that needs to be a line in the budget. Mr. Culley can actually put that on the agenda for a budget issue. I don't know that in December, without some input with other folks with roads in the same sort of situation. Mr. Underwood just heard about Jericho Road and what might need to be done there. I know Mr. Thomas and I each have a road. I have one in the exact same situation that I have not.
We can do
have
yours
not
too if
touched.
you like.
Well, I don't know that we can sit here and say that we need to spend $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 per road. I think it's something that needs to be examined and needs to be put into a budget process so that we understand what we're doing and how we're going about it. I think making a motion and doing something without any real examination is not the way to go about this.
Other concerns?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to kind of reiterate what Mr. Seeley said. I mean, we haven't seen anything on this. I have no idea what the cost is going to be. I'm not saying. Is that?
$30,000. That's what the cost is going to be.
From who's giving us that quote?
I am.
We've been working on it for some time. Other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, can you just give us a little, certainly I second the motion, but can you give us a little history regarding...
I'll be glad to. Stonewall Lane is a part of a development that was plotted back in the 70s. And at that time, and you can help me, you probably weren't around in the 70s, but you know what I'm talking about. But at that time, developers did not have to fix the roads prior to a subdivision being formulated. So this was plotted back in the 70s. There are a number of very nice homes on there, and we've been trying to do something with the road, and we worked with the developer, but we haven't been very successful. The subdivision has been sold, and the person who is responsible is someone who doesn't even live here. And the people, the residents, have been just trying to get some assistance. But since it's not in the system, they haven't been successful. One of the things about this that makes it a little different is that there are no utility issues as far as I can understand. All the right-of-way has been gotten. And so if there is a fixable road, that's one of them. Because many of them you have to get the right-of-way, and people don't want to sign, and we don't have any of those issues. Many of them have utilities that need to be moved, and that's very expensive. We don't have those issues. So this is just one of the, I would say, fixable roads, and I would like to see us address it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, that's by all means.
Mr. Nelson, I'm sorry, this is your recommendation for remedy for the situation, the chip and seal, the chip and run?
Is it my
And-
recommendation for, well, the thing is, it is a rural addition. And in order for a rural addition to take a road that's not, the developer's not in control of it, to have it brought up to state standards, to have accepted by the department, it has to meet a standard.
Right.
This board, if they approve to go through the rural addition process, can designate this Stonewall Lane as a rural rustic, which is the same way we build our unpaved state-maintained roads. This road has been maintained very well by the citizens out there. They've got a good, strong base. There's no issues really with drainage. In my mind, in order to bring this road up to the standards, the minimum standards I need, it just needs to be hard surfaced. Because I don't want to take on the maintenance of a roadway that is unpaved.
So, in terms of spending this money, you believe that will resolve
That will
the
get
issue?
them a hard surface
Give them hard
road.
surface, provide some safety for our school buses?
Now, the school bus part, I'm not sure what their issue is unless they just don't go down state-maintained roads.
Well, yeah, it's not a state
Not a
maintained
maintain,
road.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Other questions? All right, I'll call for the question. It's been moved and properly second that we would use funds from the unencumbered balance to,
Could I have one question?
certainly,
Do we know, Mr. Nelson, how many rural additions or rural rustic roads you have in your pipeline for us? Or-
For you all?
Yes.
The only rural rustic that I'm aware of that we have come up is Sorrel Lane. There are no rural additions that I'm aware of in this county that we have before us, not in the secondary six-year plan that I'm aware of.
What was that road that was in Mattapan and then went back to Madison?
Yeah, that has been,
But
chip and tar, that's been paved. It was,
right next to...
off of Route 1,
Yeah, right next to the horse farm.
yeah.
Ryland Road, I think.
Rollin Road, that's it,
Okay.
Rollin Road.
So we've done all the other ones we had.
It
That was
must have been
before your
before
time.
me, yeah.
That was before your
Rollin
time.
Road was done shortly after we went back into the, in
Yeah,
the pipeline, yeah.
I've had no luck. The 3 or 4 roads that were ever in the Mattapan district to fix, once I got them in line, redistricting put them in somebody else's district. So Mr. Akers got credit for 10 years of my work, and I think somebody else, maybe Mr. Seeley, got credit for another one. But those are that's the only one you have in the county right now.
Yeah, and just to separate the two, what we're talking about, there's a rural addition process and there's a rural rustic.
Right.
The rural rustics are roads that are already state-maintained that are just unpaved.
Right.
The rural addition is a road that's not state-maintained.
Right.
And in order to get it into the system, you have to do some upgrades so that
Right.
we will maintain it. So rural rustics, we do all the time. We had, I think, 3 or 4 since I've been in Fredericksburg.
Here.
But rural additions, to this date, I'm just getting ready to do one in Spotsylvania. It takes a long time because
Yeah,
the
we-
right-of-way is the biggest issue. And if the right-of-way is already dedicated,
Yeah.
you've cleared a huge hurdle.
Trust me, it takes at least 10 years, I know.
it does. Thank you.
How many houses are on that road?
I can't remember.
20,
I can't remember.
probably 20.
It's a nice road. I mean,
Yeah,
the road.
it is. And they're very nice homes. Okay, call for the question. All in favor, let it be known by saying, the motion is to provide funding to get Stonewall Lane into the state system. Up to $30,000. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, how do you vote?
I voted aye.
Mr. Black?
reluctantly.
Nay.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye.
Mr. Akers?
Aye.
Mr. Seeley?
Nay.
And I vote aye. Thank you very much. We'll let those folks know that we're going to fix that road.
I'll work with Mike and whoever to make sure we have the right documentation needed to move forward.
Thank you.
All right?
Okay, that takes us to
Rest stops?
report on planned improvements to Interstate 95 rest stops.
So yes, we've got Martin Krebs here, who is from our central office maintenance division, who kind of handles all the rest areas. So we've got some exciting news that we're looking at upgrading the rest areas on 95 in Caroline County, and he kind of wants to go over some of the specifics.
Thank you.
He's got the presentation.
Members of the board, thank you. I admit it's been a long time since I've spoken in front of a board, so you'll have to bear with me. So what I'm here to tell you about is I have some good news relative to the two rest areas that are located in Caroline County. After some time, we've finally been able to secure some funding to reconstruct those. And, just to be a good neighbor, we wanted to let you know what was going on in your backyard. We've been working with Charles and Joey on the planning of the utilities, and so we just want to go through some of the basics on this project and let you guys know what the schedule is and scope. So just basic overview of the program. The Safety Rest Area program is operated out of VDOT's maintenance division in the central office. We oversee the operations at all 43 rest areas statewide, and we receive approximately 33 million visitors every year. The two sites in Caroline County are in the top 5 relative to visitation. Caroline Northbound, which was constructed in 1965, receives approximately 1.6 million visitors per year. Caroline Southbound, constructed in 1968, receives 1.5 million visitors per year, and we expect those numbers to increase as traffic volume on the interstate increases as well. Of course, you know the project locations. The current facility is again constructed in the mid-60s, again ranked 3rd and 5th relative to visitation. When the facilities were originally designed and constructed, they were built for a 20-year lifespan, so that meant that they exceeded their capacity sometime in the 1980s. We looked at the facilities, looked at the needs, looked at planning guidelines, and we've come up with a concept that'll bring us through 2036. So it's going to be a big improvement. Again, these are some of the existing photos now. A little out of sequence, but real quick on schedule. We're in the design phase for the projects now. We anticipate giving a construction contractor a notice to proceed in March of 2016, which would give us an April 2016 groundbreaking. We anticipate the construction process to take a year, and so that's substantial completion in April of 2017, and final closeout of the project, substantial completion in April 2017, final closeout in May of 2017. So we anticipate the site will be open to the public in April of 2017. This is the existing rest area building, relatively small, a little less than 3,000 square feet. You'll note the massive line of portable toilets in the background. That is to meet the capacity of the site. Again, they're among our most visited, yet some of the smallest and oldest sites. This is what is the prototype structure. This is actually a picture of the rest area in New Kent on I-64 westbound. That building's approximately 9,000 square feet. And it's one of the most visited sites. So we're using that as the prototype structure, and I've got some additional layouts of that. Again, this is a adaptation. The structures in Caroline will look like the picture, the rendering on the top. Some slight changes to the cornice work to make the roof line look a little more proportional to the building, but essentially the same structure. This is a layout of the existing or the proposed structure. Again, we're really going in and doing a massive upgrade. This is actually the layout that will be on Caroline southbound. The good news is in the next frame. So we've been given permission. You'll have to ignore the Greensville at the bottom. We've been given permission to build a new safety rest area and welcome center at Caroline northbound. So you guys your county will be hosting our new state welcome center. And that is, I don't have any pointer, but if you look in the upper right-hand corner, that will be the welcome center facility. These renderings are all draft, but that's approximately the layout as it will be constructed. That is all I had for the presentation. I do have, if you're interested in seeing a layout of the site, I can pull that up if I can figure out how to operate the laptop. One important note, relative to the project is that the siding of the building, and we'll pull up the site plan. Apologize, the CAD drawings don't come through too clearly. My ability to drag it either, apparently. We'll zoom out a little bit. It's coming through a little desert, but this is the existing structure on, or the structure that we will construct. It's very difficult to see, but one of the questions we have for the county is there is a water tower, an abandoned water tower located on the site, approximately in this area. And we'd like to engage Charlie and Joey in a discussion about demolishing that water tower as part of this project. You can see it in one of the existing frames. It's right behind the building, and it will be, as the building is sited, so you see the entrance when you're coming in. It's going to be a challenge to try and work around the water tower. And so I know that you guys have your county name on it, but again, we're increasing the size of the interior of the building pretty significantly. We're thinking that we may be able to offset some of the impressions that you might lose with the tower by bringing some information about Caroline County into the building so that travelers can see that. And again, we think that we'll get about 1.5 million impressions on that as people roll through the site. So it's kind of what's happening in your backyard.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You, on a couple of slides before, you said we were going to have the rest stop and visitor center.
Correct.
On Caroline northbound, you said.
Correct.
There's no exit after the visitor center, after that stop in Caroline.
It's a state.
Yeah, but I mean, I get on 630.
Yeah, there is an interchange north.
639 is south, isn't that south of the?
Yeah, right across the road from me, across 95. North is on this, the northbound lane.
So both of the rest stops are between 104 and 110?
Correct.
They're between Coolwater and...
All right, I'm usually trying to get off at 17 to come around the other way,
Yes, sir.
but I was wondering why it would be there and then we wouldn't have an exit past it. Well, all right, that's fine. Now, about the nice deal you're going to make us for the water tower, you're saying you're going to take it down and put it back up, but just not with our name on it?
No, as I understand it, the water tower is abandoned. It's no longer operational, so
Okay.
it needs to be demolished.
So you're just going to take it down and no problem for us? No problem to me means no money from us, right? Sean?
That's a conversation we wanted to engage Charlie and Joe.
We're having it now.
We're having it now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, does board members have other questions regarding the rest stop? Thank you very much for your presentation, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
All of American City is coming down, too.
Okay, that takes us to update on general reassessment. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you. General reassessment is winding down. I anticipate field work being done in January and hearings sometime early February. The county sales ratio is holding about 97% based on a 2014-15 sales, and which we're looking roughly at 2% increase, and that translates into about a $56 million increase in taxable real estate for the county. Going pretty smooth. Other than that, no problems with citizenry or anything. Is there any questions I can answer?
Did you say $56 million?
Yes, sir.
That doesn't mean taxes, that means taxes.
That's based on that 2%.
Okay. Board,
But he's saying a 2% increase is $56 million in additional revenue.